people, they just don't remember. And it's important to us that we do, because it's like my son's birthday or my daughter's birthday. Luke's birthday should be recognized as well, and we find that to be very important. So we have received a card from a lady named Annie. Her son Hank gained his wings a year ago this coming Father's Day. What's interesting to note about Annie is that she lives in North Carolina, but she had actually left to go to Missouri for a wedding. And while she was there, she went into preterm labor. And she ended up delivering at our partner hospital in Sullivan, Missouri. I truly feel that God was looking out for her, and He placed her at that hospital because He knew, she needed the comfort and support that our box provides. Annie wrote me a letter, and she shared this with me. There are no words to describe the pain and the isolation that we felt when we had to hand our son over to the mortuary that day. Within a few minutes of holding our precious son for the last time, our dear nurse Tabitha handed us a box. Your box, the Luke Lazon box. And we instantly realized we were not forgotten. That alone is more valuable than anything in the box. Someone realized how painful our loss was, and that was a lifeline we desperately needed. On the flight home, I carried the box in my lap. It was our precious commodity, the only thing we had left of our son. Since Hank's day, I now travel and sleep with his baby blankets. The stuffed lamb is in Hank's crib. The willow tree angel sits on a chest overlooking his crib. And a quote on one of the pieces of literature that you gave us is on his grave marker. It is a quote that has given us so much peace and comfort. An angel in the book of life wrote down my baby's birth and whispered as she closed the book, "Too beautiful for earth." Annie's experience is exactly why we do this. That box was her lifeline, and the contents meant so much to her, and it means so much to these families. When my dear friend Amber speaks here shortly, she will reference how those same items, plus our book and our journal, and even the Starbucks card, which offers me tons of emotional healing, has helped her on her grieving journey. So with that, it is my absolute honor to invite Amber up to the podium to share her story.
Our son Tyson was stillborn at 34 weeks on May 5th, 2012. On Tuesday, we'll be celebrating his 3rd birthday. His cause of death was determined a cord accident, and as a runner, I immediately had guilt about my actions having caused his death. Doctors advised that running was perfectly safe, yet friends and coworkers would make comments about my running and how they were fearful that I could hurt him. So going to the hospital and learning I would be delivering my son stillborn was immediately a guilty and shameful thing for me. The memories of that night will always haunt me, from the nurses thinking they had found his heartbeat, to not sure if it was his heartbeat or mine, and finally a nurse coming in to do the ultrasound. We knew with broken hearts when the doctor came in that it wasn't good. She didn't even say the words. At this point, things began to move quickly, and we had no time to process the information. I was induced, and labor went very fast. In my mind, it couldn't go fast enough. The fear and panic were unreal. After his delivery, I didn't know what to expect. I remember holding Tyson for a brief amount of time. I remember my parents holding him too, and then he was gone. What sticks out to me the most is holding my precious son, who looked just like his big brother, and sobbing at his life that I couldn't save. Looking back, I wish I would have had more pictures taken of him, I remember my mom asking if she could take a picture and telling her no. I didn't want to remember any of that night, and I sure didn't want any pictures of the baby that I had hurt. No one prepares you for a stillborn. Doctors don't warn you that these things happen. Stillborn wasn't even a word in my vocabulary. I did feel some anxiety with this pregnancy because of the way our first son was born. His cord was wrapped around his neck 5 times. Nurses at his delivery commented on how incredible that was. I mentioned my anxiety to the doctors that saw me during this pregnancy with Tyson because I was fearful of some complications at delivery again. And then the unthinkable happened. We left the hospital without our baby completely broken. We went home with empty arms to tell our son that baby brother went to live in God's house instead of our house. We met with our pastors and we planned a funeral. It didn't seem real or even possible that all of those people in attendance were there for me, watching my son's funeral. I cried for days that turned into months, hoping one day I'd wake up from this nightmare. Every day for the 6 weeks leading up to Tyson's due date, my body felt so empty without him. The feeling is hard to describe, but I didn't feel like a complete person with him gone. A part of me and who I was for 8 months was missing. I didn't have much to say to anyone, and I avoided contact and interaction with people who loved me and cared me and who reached out to me. My husband was so strong, yet so broken too. We were forced to grow in so many ways. Though I loved and trusted him with my whole heart, I lived in fear for a very long time that one day he might wake up and blame me for this tragedy. We went to counseling and we received love and support from so many unexpected people and places, but we still felt completely alone. A good month or so went by before I made any kind of recognition of my tragedy on social media. I posted a comment on Facebook about my sweet Tyson being born with wings, and a flood of comments and messages came back to me. Only my closest family, friends, and coworkers knew what had happened, but so many others were shocked and heartbroken with me when they heard the news. It was through this Facebook post that my dear childhood friend Renee, who is here today, got in touch with me and told me I should check out her friend Lisa's organization called Luke Lives On. I went to the website and requested a box. Almost immediately, I got an email from Lisa saying she had gotten my box request and she would quickly get it in the mail to me. When I received the box, I wasn't quick to open it. I did peek inside to see what was there, but then put it away for quite some time. I did a lot of hiding from everything for a very long time. I didn't want to face anyone, and I didn't want anyone to look at me with pity. I even distanced myself from my parents for a very long time. I knew how heartbroken they were over the loss of their grandson, but more importantly to me, I didn't want them to worry about how broken I really was. I worked with sweet friends who were newly pregnant, and there were baby showers for other friends, and I just couldn't do it. I couldn't find that middle ground between being happy for them and being so completely sad for my loss. So I distanced myself from those people who really cared for me and saw some very dark days. Eventually, I did go back to my box, and when I did, I started with the book. From the moment I started that book, I knew it would be instrumental in helping me through the process of grieving. Up until that point, I really didn't feel like I knew anyone who really and truly understood me or could validate the emotions I was facing every single day, but this author really could. I felt like each new day that I read from her book, she was really speaking to me, and the book had been written for me. As I finished the reading and the journaling with it, I really felt a sense of peace, and at least knowing that I wasn't alone in my despair. I saved the Starbucks gift card for quite some time. For a long time, I didn't feel like I deserved to treat myself to anything that I used to enjoy, whether that be Frappuccinos from Starbucks or my love of reading, and certainly not running. The ornament is now something that I proudly display on my Christmas tree each year, and the lamb still sits in my Luke Lives On box. I'm not really sure why I save it there, but I do, and I take it out from time to time to just reflect on Tyson and this journey that we've been on. I think I like the fact that the lamb stays protected and beautiful for my beautiful son. I will always be grateful for the conversation that Lisa started with me through email on the night that I requested my box. She and I emailed back and forth several times over the course of several months, and when she wouldn't hear from me for a while, she would send me an email to check in. Those emails and the effort she put into supporting me has meant everything to me. In January 2013, I found myself desiring to go to a box-making party that Lisa was hosting at her home so that I could meet her and finally get myself out of some hiding that I'd been doing. There, I met Lisa's friends, Jean and Jennifer, who treated me like they'd known me for years. I also met a couple of other moms who were there for the same reason I was, to start a healing process and recognize that I wasn't alone and I had support. Since then, I've been pregnant with my daughter, where I had multiple appointments with a specialist. This is when I met Dr. Harstead, who truly changed my life. He explained the facts to me in a way where I could really and truly believe for the first time that Tyson's death was not my fault. The sun shined a little brighter that day as my husband and I left that appointment. And then there is Dr. Landemeyer, who took me in as a new patient and made sure I had the best care throughout the somewhat terrifying 9 months that followed. The fear was real. Is she growing like she should? Is she moving enough? Does her cord look like it should? So much fear that at times I panicked and I would go in for an unscheduled heartbeat and stress check just to make sure we were good and have some peace of mind. And then on August 17th, 2013, I gave birth to my rainbow baby, Boston Ty, named after her angel brother, Tyson. Lisa came and visited us in the hospital with her rainbow baby, Hudson, which was a very special moment for me. Fast forward to June 2014, and in God's mysterious ways, He used me to minister to a very special family. My best friend, who saw me through my worst moments and prayed with me when I didn't have the words, experienced having her daughter give birth to a stillborn baby girl, also at 34 weeks. I could not believe that now I really did know someone personally and close to me who really knows how it feels. I relived those terrifying moments, detail for detail, with this sweet family, and just like many of you here today, I wish desperately to say or do something to comfort them, but my words just felt so meaningless. So I turned to Luke Luzon. I got in touch with Lisa and told her I needed a box as soon as possible, and the very next morning she met up with me so I could get the box and make the delivery. I was hopeful that at some point, when the time was right, that box would provide this sweet new mom some comfort. I felt grateful that I could share something with her that had been so important and special to me. I hope you leave here today encouraged that even though my story is hard and my story is sad, it's not the end of my story. I found hope when I opened my box. I didn't find it immediately, but when I did, my life changed. I was able to start a healing process. Had you asked me this time last year if I'd be standing here today, I'd say no. In fact, I did say no. But here I am, proud to be Tyson's mom, and proud to share our story. To close, I'd just like to encourage you, precious friends and supporters here today, to continue supporting these moms and families through Luke Lives On, and recognizing their children in heaven. Call their babies by name, and include them in special celebrations and as members of our families. That's what means the most. Thank you.
Wow. Amber, way to go. You did it. I'm so proud of you. And she is so courageous. She did say no, and we had to, she thought about it a little bit. She came back, and this is hard, right? Sometimes I feel like I'm outside of the norm. I've been very open about Luke ever since we lost him. But there are many, many moms out there who don't want to talk. They feel shameful. They feel like they did something wrong. And that's not the case, but it's very, very common. So I am just so proud of you and your bravery, Amber, for coming up here today and sharing your story. And I know that the room has so much of a better understanding of how Luke Lozon can impact mothers like you. So thank you. So beyond the moms, I thought we would also gain an additional perspective of how Luke Lozon can support others. And I asked Amber if her mom would consider speaking this year. And Brenda, why don't you come on up and I'll kind of explain what my reasoning was behind that. Let me tell you guys that it's not just the moms that are grieving. It's the siblings, the older brother or sister that's anxiously awaiting the arrival of their little baby boy, or not theirs, but their little brother or sister. It's the grandparents who might be getting a grandchild for the first time or for the 5th time. The focus normally resides on the mom, but we don't need to forget the husbands, who I'm so thankful to have mine here today, the grandparents, the siblings, and other family members close by. So with that, I thought I would love to welcome Brenda up here to share her story.
Short today. These tall girls around. I guess y'all can hear me okay? Yes, I got them. When asked to speak today, my first thought was, what do I have to offer? The boxes aren't for grandparents, they're for parents. I don't have a box. What do I really know about it all? But then I realized I do have a story to share, and Luke Lives On does have meaning to me too. Our loss of Tyson was a shock. We'd never had anything like that happen to our family or to any of our extended family. We had some experience with first trimester miscarriage, but never anything like a full-term stillborn. I'd only even known 2 people who'd experienced such a loss, and one of those was just an acquaintance almost 30 years ago. So how could this happen? It was surreal. It was a nightmare that didn't end. I felt so helpless. My baby, Amber, and her husband were suffering, and there was nothing I could do to fix it, or even help, really. I was in the delivery room when Tyson arrived. I saw how tightly wound the cord was around his neck. I was totally not prepared for that, not that you can really prepare. I didn't even realize when I first walked in the room that Amber was still in labor. I thought we'd arrived too late for that. I really only knew labor was 5 weeks early, there was no heartbeat, and that Amber wanted me, her mom, in the room, but was not ready for seeing her dad. Guess that should have tipped me off, but I was in a daze from the shock that Tyson Russell, my husband's namesake and our beloved grandson, was gone. Gone before we even got to know him. The days that followed are a bit of a blur. We got through the hospital, the funeral, the burial. We gave extra hugs and kisses to our 2 surviving grandsons every chance we got. We treasured what we still had, but deeply mourned what we'd lost. I kept asking why. What happened? Why would God allow this to happen? Was this some sort of punishment? What did we do to deserve this? I went online seeking information and answers, primarily to find medical information on neutral cord and that causing fetal death. What I found on neutral cord didn't really help, as death from that is quite rare, really. So what really happened? Is that what really happened to our dear Tyson? And again, why? Though the medical information I found was less than satisfying, I stumbled into a few forums on loss and found myself drawn in. I even found a degree of solace in one young mother's comment of, "My baby was too pure for this earth." This simple phrase finally gave me some validation that maybe it was not about us being unworthy to raise God's child, but that our Tyson was too pure to be on an impure earth. He belongs in God's house with God's angels. Somehow this simple phrase helped me to have some sort of understanding of how a loving, caring God fits into our picture of loss. In the early days after Tyson, I had trouble talking about him. I didn't want to upset Amber or anyone around me by bringing him up. But I learned that talking about him was actually helpful. It validated his existence and my love for him. Talking about him made him real. As time passed, I found I was better able to get through the experience. I will never get over it. But I still had no idea how to assist my daughter. Then at some point, Amber was able to share with me how she'd found some help through an organization called Luke Lives On. She'd found the organization through Renee, a dear friend and neighbor. And Lisa, founder of Luke Lives On, was this neighbor's college roommate. Though I barely know Lisa, through her connection with Renee, she feels like part of my family. She and her organization were a godsend to my daughter. Lisa's box provided well thought out comfort items, but it was Lisa's consistent contact with Amber that was most helpful. Lisa was able to offer firsthand knowledge of resources and heartfelt comfort in a way that no one else could. When I first learned of Luke Lives On, again, I immediately went back to the internet to see what all it entailed. I was fascinated by the whole idea and even ordered myself a copy of the book, Grieving the Child I Never Knew, that she includes in the box. I too found the book helpful as a grandparent. My experience with Lisa, Luke Lives On, and the box can best be summed up by a phrase once told to me by a mother of a physically handicapped child. She said, "The Lord has put people and places in our path when we needed them. We just had to open our eyes to the information He sent." I believe Lisa and her organization were put into my daughter's path at the right time for us. I believe in her cause and the comfort she's brought to us. I've helped create the boxes at a box party. I donate to Luke Lives On in Tyson's name when I miss him the most, his birthday and Christmas. And I'm grateful to have a meaningful way to honor Tyson. I recommend Luke Lives On to friends with loss, knowing that Lisa and her website provide great resources in addition to the box. The box is so much more than just a box of stuff. It's an outreach of support from someone who's been there and knows how hard it is. One last thought I'd like to share with you is the main lesson I've learned from the whole experience of Tyson's short life. Life is precious and very short. Live it to its fullest. Make good choices. Don't waste what life you've been given, and the Lord will see you through.
So I want to thank Amber and Brenda for being so courageous and sharing their stories. So if you would, please give them another round of applause. Finally, it's such an honor for me not to only have this beautiful mom and grandma share their stories, but one of our partner hospitals also felt the need to extend a thank you as well. You see, perinatal loss resources, they're not the norm. Many hospitals want to do something for families like us, but often lack funding to do so. It is not uncommon for nurses to hold a bake sale or just to pull money out of their own pockets to try and find something to give these families who go home with empty arms. Because of the success of last year's luncheon, we were able to grow our hospital partnership by 4, as I mentioned earlier. And one of the hospitals that we picked up was Phoebe Putney Memorial Hospital in Albany, Georgia. They deliver up to 3,000 babies a year, with 100 of those resulting in losses. Before partnering with Luke Lives On, they were not offered any bereavement funding. And instead, their nurses, they did exactly what I just mentioned. They would pool together money, they would go out and buy some craft boxes and decorate them. And they would just wanted to have something for these patients to go home with and be able to put their keepsakes in, whether it was a lock of hair, a baby blanket, or some footprints. Last year, we were contacted by Mandy Lanier, a child life specialist at Phoebe. And she asked if we would consider supporting her hospital, though so many miles away from Texas. And again, because of the success of our luncheon, I was thrilled to say yes. Their patients will no longer have to go home with a box of just keepsakes, but they'll be able to go home with a box that allows for their keepsakes, but also comfort and support items. The staff at Phoebe has been amazing and so super generous, and they put together a couple short videos that I wanted to share with you guys.
Hey y'all, my name is Mandy and I'm the Child Life Specialist at Phoebe. My job in labor and delivery is bereavement support. I was not given a budget for this program, so about a year or so ago, I was on the internet trying to find different bereavement support resources. And I stumbled across Luke Lives On, and this has by far been the best thing that's happened to our L&D floor. When a mama comes into the hospital and she's pregnant, she wants to go home with the baby in her arms. You know, that's the normal thing, that's what is expected, but it doesn't always happen. So just a box this little can make a world of a difference for our families. They may not be going home with a baby in their arms, but they're not going home with empty arms. And so it's been really neat to see how these boxes have made a difference for our families. It's been really neat to see how the nurses have caught on to these boxes. It's not always an easy thing to bring something new in, but I remember after our first shipment of boxes were gone, one of the nurses called me and they said, "Mandy, where are the boxes? We need more boxes." And so that was really neat to see how even the nurses have seen the difference that these boxes have made. And it doesn't make just a difference with the families, it makes a difference with our staff too. So we thank you so much. I just want to share a little story with y'all. When we first started getting the boxes, I would go into the rooms and I would introduce myself and hand them the box. And there's this one lady that she had just lost her baby about an hour before I went into the room. And you could tell she didn't really want to talk. And so I just introduced myself. I handed her the box. I asked her if she wanted me to go through the box with her, and she said no, which that was expected. And I turned around to leave, and she called me back. She said, "Will you please go through the box with me?" And so I started taking each individual item out. She wasn't saying much. She was just very observant, wanting to see what was in it. And then I pulled out the stuffed lamb. And she grabbed that stuffed lamb and just held it up to her chest and laid her head on it and just cried. And so, to me, one of the reasons why I love these boxes is sometimes we don't know what to say in these situations. There's nothing we can say to make this experience a little bit better for them. But I think that these boxes do all the talking. These boxes show that we care. These boxes show that we're here for them. And it just shows that we're going above and beyond what we're supposed to do. So I can't thank y'all enough for these boxes, and I know that the patients really appreciate them, and I know the staff, they love handing out these boxes.
Doesn't she have the best accent? And what was so cute is they'd sent a couple other videos, and it was funny because this one girl, she tried so hard, and at the end she just, I can't do it, but they had that real strong Georgia accent, and it was great. So, as we begin to conclude our luncheon today, I would like to mention that each table is lovingly sponsored by either a business or an individual. And you'll see the specific sponsor placed among the beautiful tulips and the centerpieces. Specifically, I'd like to give a couple shout outs. One to Missy J with Gigglebox. She designed so much of the beautiful content that was put together for this luncheon. She kept me honest, she kept me on timeline, and she kept me sane. Even this morning, she kept me sane. So I appreciate that very much, Missy, thank you. I also want to recognize Jennifer Buis and her family, Carla Probst and Luann Buis and her family for sponsoring the beautiful tulips that you see in front of you today. And y'all will get a little note of what the importance of these tulips mean here in just a little bit. Additionally, I'd like to thank my board, Amy Marcy and Jean Poteet, for being continually committed to Luke Lives On. And lastly, y'all are here today because y'all were invited by some table captains, and from what I can see, they did an outstanding job. My table captains are complete rock stars, so thank you so much for filling this room today. Y'all are absolutely amazing. So with that, I'd like to introduce a couple of my board members, Jean Poteet and Amy Marcy, to the podium. Hi,
I too am vertically challenged.
Hold on now. Hold, please. There we go. All right, so just 1 second before I'm going to go off script for 1 second. Can I please get a round of applause for my sister-in-law, Lisa, who is incredible and who is responsible for this amazing organization. All right, so I'm a bigger mess than she is, and that's just the way it's going to be. All right, so good afternoon. My name is Jean Poteet, and I am Luke's aunt and an honored board member of Luke Lives On. During the past fundraising events, we've honored Luke Lives On angels in various ways. At our first event, we released 25 balloons representing each of the angels that have been served. The following year, that grew to 110. Last year, with a change of venue, thanks to Maggiano's, we decided to recognize our angels a little bit differently, and the tulips in your centerpieces represent individual angels served. Last year there were 240 tulips scattered throughout the room, representing all the angels that have been served since 2011, when we started Luke Lives On. Today the tulips in front of you actually represent 310 angel families served last year alone, putting our total to 550 for our first 3 years. Separately, as you likely notice, each individual tables here today represents a Luke Lives On angel, and we're so thrilled to have many families joining us here today whose babies are so honored to recognize. If you're the parent, grandparent, or family member of an angel, regardless if you received a Luke Lives On box or not, would you please stand for a round of applause? Thank you for standing so proudly in honor of your babies. I know today's been very hard and emotional. Sometimes it's hard to hear the stories, but once again, we thank Amber and Brenda for coming up here and sharing your story. That can be hard, but it's good because we can see how Luke Lives On provides comfort and support. It's really working. There's a need there, and Luke Lives On is fulfilling that need. Okay, so moving on to a positive note, we're going to do our raffle for our jewelry, so pull out your tickets. We'll get to that. We'll do the gold earrings and amethyst necklace. These are Kendra Scott jewelry pieces. Oh yes, and you don't have to come up here right now, just raise your hand so we know who wins. I'd like to mention that this beautiful jewelry right in front of you was donated by one of our attendees, Ali Rivas, and also by Say Chic and Little Boutique at Circle C. Thank you. Okay, the last three numbers are 1, 2, 4. Okay. Okay, and then our last piece is a Sandra pendant necklace in iridescent white, and if you don't want it, Lisa will take it off your hands. 105. Okay, and then lastly, we have a surprise raffle or giveaway. Design to Shine is an Etsy-based company. They do hand-stamped jewelry that you can personalize with your baby's names or all your children's names or your angels' names. They can even do fingerprint and like even a heartbeat scan on the jewelry. It's really neat. And they have graciously given us a $50 gift certificate that we'd like to give away to one of our angel mommies in the room. So So I'm just going to randomly draw a name. Krista Barron. Krista, where are you? Okay, so that's yours. Thank you everybody who participated in the raffles. Joanna, did you really win that necklace? Oh. We might have to talk. Oh, here we go. Well, so I hope you guys have been inspired today by the unique support that Luke Lives On offers as we look to support all of these grieving families. Under your plates, you will find a pledge card where you can make a donation to support Luke Lives On and or let us know about ways you'd like to support us by serving your time. The pledge form outlines numerous ways to give and will hope you'll consider at least a minimum donation of $100, which will go to serve 2 angel families. Please note though, that based upon our current distribution to our 18 partner hospitals, for just this year alone, we need to raise over $20,000. So with that, we ask you to thoughtfully consider sponsoring multiple boxes and allowing us to continue supporting those existing needs. And as a reminder, Luke Lives On is a 501c3 nonprofit, so your donation is tax deductible. So, Luke Lives On is 100% funded by private donations, which means we would not be able to do what we do without all of you. So thank you for considering how you can support Luke Lives On today. At this time, feel free to look over the pledge forms, complete them as desired, and use the large envelopes in the center of your table to place your pledge cards and your donations. And with that, on behalf of myself, our board members, and the 550 families that have been served, thank you so much for joining us at our Ladies Luncheon today. I truly, truly hope you see and understand the need, and you have been touched by what Luke Lives On has to offer. And we all hope to see you again here next year. Thank you.